Have you ever wondered about those ancient mysteries? Figures from history who seemed, well, almost uncanny in their ability to know things, maybe predict the future, or uncover secrets.
Yeah, it's fascinating stuff.
Totally. Today, we're doing a deep dive into one such figure, Joseph, famous for his wisdom, sure, but also, according to the old text, for having this peculiar tool for divination.
A silver cup, specifically.
Exactly. And our mission today is basically to pull out the key insights, the really interesting bits for you, straight from our source material.
And just so everyone's clear on where we're getting this from, this whole chat, everything we're digging into, it's all based on our reading of Part 2, Chapter X of Sir James George Frazer's huge work, Folklore in the Old Testament.
Right. A foundational text for this kind of thing.
Absolutely. It gives us the context, the historical background to really understand what might have been going on.
So we're going to unpack that biblical story, Joseph's mysterious cup. Then we'll kind of zoom out and look at how common water divination actually was historically, globally.
And what's really striking, as you'll see, is how different cultures, worlds apart, thousands of years apart sometimes, ended up using really similar methods.
It's amazing, isn't it? That shared human thing, trying to find truth, trying to know what's coming.
Definitely a universal impulse.
Okay, let's kick off with the Bible story itself. It's pretty dramatic. Genesis 44, verses 1 to 15. So picture this. Joseph's brothers, they've been through this awful famine journey to Egypt.
Desperate for food.
Totally desperate. They're finally heading home, sacks full of corn. But then Joseph does something really, well, intense. He tells his steward, secretly, to hide his own silver drinking cup.
The divining cup.
The divining cup, right, in Benjamin's sack. His youngest brother. Talk about emotional manipulation, maybe.
Oh, it's heavy stuff. The tension must have been incredible.
So the brothers leave. Probably relieved, maybe confused, definitely emotional after seeing Joseph again. And then the steward chases after them.
Yep, catches up to them.
And hits them with this bombshell accusation.
Yeah.
Theft. They're obviously shocked, saying, no way we wouldn't do that.
Right, they protest their innocence.
But the steward lays it on thick.
Right.
Wherefore have you rewarded evil for good? Is not this it in which my Lord drinketh, and whereby he indeed divineth? Ye have done evil in so doing. Basically, you stole the boss's magic cup.
And then the search, sack by sack.
Until, bam, there it is in Benjamin's sack. Devastating. Makes him look totally guilty.
And it doesn't stop there. When Joseph himself confronts them, he doesn't just let the steward's words hang, he actually leans into it.
He does. What does he say?
He says, direct quote here, "What deed is this that ye have done? Know ye not that such a man as I can indeed divine?" He's basically saying, don't you know who I am? I can figure things out with this.
Wow. So he's really playing up this divination angle.
Seems like it. The text makes it pretty clear he prided himself on using this cup specifically to catch thieves.
Okay, but how did he use it, does the Bible say?
That's the thing, it doesn't, not the specific method. It just says that he divined with it.
Huh, interesting.
And that lack of detail is actually what makes us look outwards, It's to broader historical practices.
Yeah.
What were people doing with cups and water back then? It might give us a clue about Joseph.
Right. So this whole dramatic scene with Joseph's cup, it makes you ask, was he just this one guy doing this weird thing? Or was it like a known practice? Was he tapping into something bigger?
Well, according to Frazer, our source, using a cup for divination was actually, and I quote, not uncommon both in ancient and modern times.
Really? Not uncommon.
Yeah. The exact methods varied, obviously, but the basic idea, looking for signs or answers in water, was pretty widespread. It even had a name in Greek, hydromancy.
Hydromancy, divination by water. Okay.
Exactly, and we see examples going way back into classical antiquity.
Like what?
Well, there's an account from Isidorus, a Neoplatonic philosopher. He talks about a sacred woman who could predict the future by pouring clean water into a crystal cup and interpreting the appearances.
Crystal cup. Fancy.
Right. And sometimes they'd even put special gems in the water, like something called the Anancitis stone. They thought it helped summon images of gods for divination.
Wow. Gods in a cup.
Kind of, yeah. And then there's King Numa, the Roman king. He supposedly saw images of gods in water too, though maybe not a cup, perhaps a sacred pool like the Spring of Egeria.
Okay, so kings and sacred women.
And ordinary people too, it seems. Frazer mentions the people of Tralles in Calyria during a war, the Mithridatic War. They wanted to know the outcome.
Naturally.
So they got a boy to gaze into water. He apparently saw the god Mercury and then chanted like 160 verses predicting what would happen.
160 verses. from a boy looking in water.
That's the story. And Frazer notes the Persians were seen as real experts, adepts in water divination. Some think the West might have even learned it from Persia, maybe because the Persians held water in such high regard.
Huh. Okay, so it seems Joseph wasn't alone in this kind of practice. Even if we don't know exactly how he did it, the idea of looking into water in a cup, that was a thing.
It was definitely a thing. He was likely drawing inferences from shapes, figures, reflections, whatever appeared or seemed to appear in the water.
But here's what really blew my mind from the reading.
Yeah.
This kind of divination. It's apparently still practiced in Egypt today.
Absolutely. It's quite remarkable how persistent these traditions can be. It's known as the magic mirror or darb-et-mandal.
Magic mirror. Tell me about that. How does it work now?
Well, the procedure described is very specific. You need a pure, innocent boy, usually under 12. He looks into a cup filled with water.
An innocent boy.
And the cup often has texts written on it. Plus, there's a paper, also with writing, stuck under his cap so it hangs over his forehead. And incense is burned, the conjurer chants. It's quite a ritual.
Sounds like it.
And then, after a bit, the boy is asked what he sees. He typically says he sees persons moving in the water as if in a mirror.
Like a little movie in the cup.
Sort of, yeah. Then the conjurer tells the boy to command these spirit figures, set up a tent, bring coffee, and apparently they do it at once.
Right.
And the main use, or key use, is when someone watching asks to see a particular person, living or dead. The boy commands the spirit to bring them.
Does it work? Does he describe them accurately?
Well, Frazer's pretty clear that the descriptions are almost always quite wide of the mark.
Ah, not surprising maybe.
The boy often says the figure stays half in the shade or won't come fully into view, but insists he does see them. It's also used significantly for detecting thieves, just like Joseph.
Still used for thief detection.
Yep. Frazer even recounts a story where a boy made a false accusation during one of these sessions, which led to the government trying to ban it, but, it apparently continues quietly.
Fascinating. Is it always water in a cup?
There's a variation, actually. Sometimes they use ink poured into the palm of the hand. That becomes the magic mirror.
Ink in the hand.
Yeah. But
Right.
the principle, the procedure, it's pretty much the same. Seeing figures, summoning people, detecting thieves.
Who does the seeing in the ink version? Still young boys.
Mostly boys under puberty, yeah, they're considered the best. But also virgins, black female slaves, and pregnant women are sometimes thought to have the ability. There's usually a magic square drawn on the palm first, then the ink pool in the middle, plus incense and charms again.
There's that great story about this, isn't there? The one with King Lake in Cairo.
So the King Lake anecdote, yes, it's brilliant. So King Lake, the traveler, he decides to test one of these magicians.
What did he ask for?
He asked the boy diviner, the one gazing into the ink, to conjure up an image of Keat,
Keat.
his old headmaster from Eton. Apparently Keat was short, had red eyebrows, and was, ferocious.
Okay, so not exactly a gentle image.
Not at all. But the boy looks into the ink and announces he sees a fair girl with golden hair, blue eyes, pallid face, and rosy lips.
A fair girl
Oh.
for the ferocious headmaster.
Exactly. King Lake just burst out laughing uncontrollably.
Yeah, that.
And the magician, completely thrown off by this spectacular failure, just declares the boy must have known sin and promptly kicks him down the stairs.
Kicked him downstairs. Oh, my goodness.
It's quite the story. Hilarious, but also kind of telling, isn't it? About the whole process.
It really is. It
Yeah.
makes you wonder, if it failed so spectacularly sometimes, how did people keep believing in it? Was it just desperation, wanting answers?
I think that's a huge part of it. Suggestion plays a role too, right? And the desire for justice or knowledge about the future. People want it to work. And maybe sometimes a vague description could fit, or the half in the shade thing provides an out.
Yeah, plausible deniability.
Exactly. It taps into something deep about wanting order and answers.
Okay, so we've seen it in the Bible, in classical times, and even modern Egypt. But how far did this spread? Was it just an Egyptian or Middle Eastern thing?
Oh, no, not at all. And this is where Frazer really broadens the picture. Similar methods, variations on this water-gazing theme, they pop up all over the globe. It really shows this common human drive to get hidden knowledge.
Where else?
Okay, so Scandinavia. People would go to diviners, specifically on Thursday nights, hoping to see a thief's face in a pail of water.
Thursday nights. Specific.
Seems so. Then jump across the world to Tahiti. If something was stolen, you'd go to a diviner who'd fill a calabash with clear water and claim to show you the thief's face reflected there.
A calabash. Like a gourd.
Yeah, sometimes a priest would even dig a hole, fill it with water, say some prayers to a god, believing the thief's spirit would then appear over the water.
Wow. So again, thief detection seems like a primary use.
A very common one. It speaks volumes about the need for social order and justice, finding ways, even seemingly magical ones, to deal with crime.
Makes sense. Any other places?
Oh, yeah. Sir Frank Swetnam wrote about an Arab diviner in the Malay Peninsula. This guy would fast for 3 days, then pour water onto a paper in his hand.
Water on paper, how does that work?
Creates a sort of reflective surface, I guess, an extemporized mirror, Swetnam called it. And in this, the diviner claimed he could see the whole robbery happen, even described seeing the figure of a little old man reenacting the crime.
A little old man, okay.
Then you've got southeastern New Guinea diviners seeing a culprit's face in a pool of water, but after squeezing coconut oil into it.
Adding oil.
Mm.
Interesting twist.
And it wasn't always about crime. Sometimes it was about moral status. Among the Massey people in the French Sudan, royal pages, young boys had their chastity tested by looking at their reflection in a calabash of water.
Tested for chastity by their reflection.
The idea, presumably, was that an unchaste person's reflection would be disturbed or unclear, or perhaps the diviner just interpreted it that way. The consequences used to be severe, even death. They tested the king's wives the same way.
Heavy.
Very. And even among the Eskimo, Frazer mentions wizards using a tub of water as a kind of magic mirror to check on missing hunters or fishermen. They'd look for an image. Was the man's canoe upright and rowing, meaning he was alive, or was it overturned? It brought answers, at least, to anxious families.
That is just. The sheer consistency across totally different cultures is staggering. From the Arctic to the Pacific to Africa to Europe, it really makes you think, doesn't it? Was there some kind of, I don't know, shared psychological thing going on?
It certainly suggests a deeply ingrained human tendency, yeah.
And what about other ways? Was it always about seeing reflections or images? Or did people use water differently for divination too? Because some of those oracle stories sound a bit fishy.
You're right to be skeptical, and Frazer includes examples of that too. He mentions an early Christian writer who exposed how some ancient oracle mongers pulled off their tricks.
Oh, do tell.
It involved some clever stagecraft. They'd have a closed room, right? The roof painted blue to look like the sky. In the floor, a stone basin filled with water, but here's the trick. It had a glass bottom.
A glass bottom.
Sneaky.
Very. Below the floor was a hidden chamber. Confederates down there would act out scenes, maybe dressed as gods or spirits. The person looking into the water would see the reflection of the blue roof, thinking it was the sky, and then these figures appearing miraculously from below. Wow, so pure theater.
Pure theater, designed to fool the dupes, as the writer called them. It shows how water could be used not just for seeing in, but as part of a larger illusion. It's less about the water itself and more about interpretation and belief or deception.
Okay, so that's outright trickery. But were there other, maybe less visual ways water was used as a divining tool?
Definitely. Lots of methods didn't rely on seeing a clear image. Take floating objects, for example.
Floating objects?
Yeah. In India, to find a thief, they'd write suspects' names on little balls of paste or wax, throw them in water. The guilty person's ball was supposed to float while the others sank.
Simple but clever.
Or in Europe, especially around Midsummer Eve, girls would drop letters of the alphabet face down into a basin of water. They believed the first letter of their future husband's name would turn itself face up.
Finding love in the water basin.
Sort of. In Shropshire, a variation involved wrapping bits of bread with initials on them. The first one to float up indicated the future spouse.
Okay, so floating things.
What else? How about interpreting the patterns made by things dropped into water?
Like what sort of things?
Among the Bahima or Banyankol in Central Africa, medicine men would throw herbs into water to make it froth, then drop in 4 coffee berries. The way the berries landed, their position, which way they pointed, that revealed what the gods wanted.
Reading coffee berries in frothy water.
Specific.
Isn't it? Or the garrows in Assam, India. A priest would drop grains of uncooked rice into water while calling out the names of spirits. If 2 grains bumped into each other just as a certain spirit's name was called, that was the spirit they needed to appease.
Like tiny rice bumper cars deciding your fate.
Pretty much. And then, of course, there's something maybe more familiar to us, reading tea leaves or coffee grounds.
Yes. Granny's tea leaves.
Exactly. In Scotland, a tea stalk floating in your cup meant a stranger was coming, a soft stalk for a woman, a hard one for a man. If you fished it out and it stuck to your hand, they were definitely arriving soon. And reading the patterns in the dregs at the bottom after swirling, That was serious fortune-telling in the Highlands. I've heard of that.
Similar stuff in England with both tea leaves and coffee grounds. And in Macedonia, they had specific interpretations for coffee bubbles. One bubble meant a faithful friend. A ring of bubbles meant a fickle lover. The shapes in the grounds meant things too, like little streams meaning money was coming.
It's all about finding patterns, isn't it?
Finding patterns, seeking meaning. And another big one in Europe was melting lead or wax and pouring it into cold water.
Oh yeah, I've seen that done at New Year's sometimes.
Right. People would interpret the shapes the metal or wax formed as it solidified. That was common in places like Lithuania, Sweden, Scotland, Ireland, trying to glimpse the future in those random shapes.
Lead blobs telling your fortune.
And one last Irish example, diviners dropping hot coals into clean water to predict the course of a sickness called Isane, which they believed was caused by fairies. The way the coals hissed or sank presumably gave them clues.
So, looking back at all this, what does it all mean for you, listening? Joseph's cup, that specific biblical story, it wasn't just some weird isolated artifact. It actually plugs right into this huge, ancient, worldwide tradition of using water to find answers.
Exactly. It wasn't an anomaly. It was part of this vast human tapestry of seeking knowledge beyond the everyday senses. Whether people genuinely saw visions, or it was psychological suggestion, or just interpreting random patterns.
Like the tea leaves or the floating ball.
Right. Humanity has used water, this really simple, basic element, in so many ways to try and uncover hidden truths, catch wrongdoers, or get a sneak peek at destiny.
It really underlines that constant human desire, doesn't it? To understand what we can't see, to find out who did wrong, to know what's coming next for us personally.
That's the common thread for sure. This deep-seated need to make sense of the unknown, to find patterns, to feel like we have some insight or control maybe over our lives and the world around us. It connects all these diverse cultures and practices across time.
It really makes you pause and think, though. Look at our world now. Absolutely swimming in data, analytics, complex algorithms, predicting everything from the stock market to election results.
We're still trying to predict the future, just with different tools.
Exactly. Are we really so different from those ancient people gazing into a cup of water or swirling tea leaves, searching for answers in the reflections and the patterns? Maybe that fundamental human impulse, that drive to know what's next, to forecast and maybe control what's coming. Maybe it hasn't changed all that much after all. What do you think drives us today as we constantly try to predict tomorrow?